My husband got down on one knee before the blue smoke had even cleared, but he was not facing me. He was holding a ring toward the woman standing 3 feet behind my baby's gender reveal cake. For one impossible second, I thought I had misunderstood what I was seeing. Ryan's back was turned slightly toward me. One knee pressed into the grass. His right hand held an open velvet box. Inside it was a diamond ring that caught the afternoon sunlight. The woman in front of him was Madison Reed, his co-worker. The woman he had introduced to me twice. The woman who had once stood in my kitchen, touched my stomach, and told me I was glowing. Madison covered her mouth with both hands. Then she said yes. Half the people in my backyard started clapping. The other half went completely silent. Blue powder still floated above the fence. My mother was holding the empty confetti cannon. My best friend Jenna stood beside the cake with a plastic knife in her hand. Ryan's mother, Elaine, had tears in her eyes. Not tears of shock, tears of happiness. That was when I understood something even worse than the proposal. Some of them already knew. Ryan stood and slipped the ring onto Madison's finger. She laughed through her tears. Someone near the patio shouted congratulations. I placed one hand beneath my stomach. Our son had started moving hard enough for me to feel it through my dress. Ryan finally looked at me. His smile disappeared. Not because he regretted what he had done, because I was still standing there. I think he expected me to scream. Maybe he expected me to throw the cake at him, slap Madison, collapse into my mother's arms, or give everyone a dramatic scene they could discuss for years. I did none of those things. I looked at the microphone in his hand and asked, very quietly, "Are you finished?" The clapping stopped. Ryan cleared his throat. "Claire, this is not how I wanted you to find out." A strange laugh escaped me before I could stop it. "You proposed to her at my gender reveal." "Our gender reveal," he corrected. That detail told me everything about his state of mind. He had humiliated me in front of my family, but he still wanted credit for the party. He stepped toward me. "Can we talk inside?" I glanced at Madison. She looked pale now. Her left hand was still raised near her chest, the ring visible on her finger. "Did he tell you I knew?" I asked. Madison's eyes moved toward Ryan. He answered for her. "Claire, please." I looked back at him. When exactly did we agree to separate? The backyard went so quiet that I could hear the air conditioner running through the open kitchen window. Ryan's mother lowered her champagne glass. His sister looked at him sharply. One of his coworkers stopped recording on his phone. Ryan's expression hardened. "We have been living separate lives for months. We slept in the same bed last night." Someone gasped. Ryan glanced around at the guests. "That is not what I mean." "Then explain what you mean." His jaw tightened. "You know we have been unhappy." Unhappy. That word was supposed to carry the weight of a divorce, an affair, a public proposal, and months of lies. I turned to Madison again. "Did he tell you we were still married?" She swallowed. "He said the paperwork was already being prepared." Ryan reached for my arm. I stepped back before he could touch me. "Do not." He froze. My mother came to stand beside me. Jenna put the cake knife down. Ryan looked at both of them, then at me. "Claire, you are making this worse." "No," I said. "You planned this exactly the way you wanted it." He shook his head. "I planned to tell everyone the truth." "You planned to tell everyone your version before I had the chance to speak." His face changed then. Only slightly, but I saw it. He had chosen a public setting because he thought I would be too embarrassed to challenge him. He had filled the yard with people who had already heard some version of his story. He had counted on my silence. He just had not expected me to use it against him. 3 months earlier, Ryan had started coming home later. At first, the reasons sounded ordinary. A client meeting ran long. His team had a deadline. Someone at the office had made a mistake, and he had to stay to fix it. I believed him because I wanted to believe him. Pregnancy had made me tired in a way I had never experienced before. By 7 in the evening, my back hurt, my feet were swollen, and the smell of almost everything made me nauseous. Ryan used to bring me crackers and ginger tea. Then he started texting me from the driveway instead of coming inside. "Do you need anything before I go to the gym? Do not wait up. We are still at the office. I will sleep in the guest room tonight. You need the space." I mistook distance for consideration. That was the part I struggled with later. Not that he lied. That he used the language of kindness to hide it. Madison first came to our house in March. Ryan said she was the new project manager on his team. She arrived with 2 other coworkers for dinner. She brought flowers and a bottle of sparkling water because Ryan had told her I was not drinking. She seemed nervous around me, but I assumed she was shy. At one point, While Ryan was outside with the other guests, she stood beside me in the kitchen. "You are lucky," she said. I smiled. So is he. Her expression changed for half a second. I noticed it. I just did not understand it. After the party in the backyard, Ryan followed me into the house. My mother and Jenna stayed close behind. Madison remained outside with the guests. I walked into the bedroom and took an overnight bag from the closet. Ryan shut the door. "Can you please stop performing for everyone?" I turned toward him. "I am packing a bag. You made your point. My husband proposed to another woman in our backyard. I have not even started making my point." He exhaled through his nose. "We have not been functioning as a married couple for a long time. We went to my doctor's appointment together 6 days ago. That was for the baby. You kissed me in the parking garage." He looked away, I continued. "You held my hand during the ultrasound. You asked the technician for extra pictures. You told me we were going to be okay. I was trying to keep you calm." That sentence hurt more than the proposal. He had rewritten every tender moment into an act of management. I placed folded clothes into the bag. "How long?" He did not answer. "How long have you been with her?" "It is complicated." "That usually means the answer is long enough to make you look terrible." He walked toward the dresser and lowered his voice. "Madison and I became close during a difficult time." "What difficult time?" "Our marriage?" I laughed again. "You never told me our marriage was ending." I tried. "No. You avoided therapy, you worked late, you stopped answering questions." "That is not trying. That is disappearing while standing in the same room." His eyes moved toward the bag. "Where are you going?" "My mother's house." "You cannot take the baby away from me." I looked down at my stomach, then back at him. "The baby is still inside me, Ryan." He rubbed both hands over his face. "This is why I did not want to tell you like this. You chose to tell me like this. I thought you understood." "Understood what?" "That we were done." I zipped the bag. "Then why did you ask me last week whether we should paint the nursery blue or green?" He had no answer. My mother opened the bedroom door. "We are leaving." Ryan looked at her. "This is between Claire and me." "No," she said. "You turned it into a public event." I walked past him. As I reached the front hallway, Elaine came inside. She looked frightened now. "Claire, can I speak to you?" Ryan appeared behind me. "Mom, not now." Elaine ignored him. "He told me you both agreed to wait until after the gender reveal to announce the separation." I looked at her. "He told you that?" She nodded slowly. "He said you were staying in the house together until the baby was born," Ryan interrupted. "That is basically true." I turned toward him. "We ordered a new mattress together 2 weeks ago." Elaine's face changed. Ryan looked furious, not ashamed, furious that the details were no longer under his control. My phone began vibrating before we reached Jenna's car. By the time we arrived at my mother's house, I had 32 unread messages. Some were from people apologizing. Some were from people asking what had happened. A few were from guests who still believed Ryan's story and thought I had known about Madison. Ryan's sister sent me a screenshot of a family group message from 2 months earlier. Ryan had written, "Claire and I have decided to separate privately. Please do not contact her about it yet. She is emotional because of the pregnancy, and I am trying to keep things peaceful." I stared at the words for a long time. He had not just lied about me. He had used my pregnancy to make his lie believable. He had turned my emotions into evidence against me before I had even expressed them. Jenna sat beside me on my mother's couch. "You do not have to answer anyone tonight. I need to know who knew." "You will." "No, I need to know what he told them." My mother brought me water. "You also need to eat." I took the glass but did not drink. Another message arrived. This one was from Madison. "I need to know whether you really knew about us." I read it twice, then I typed. I did not. The typing indicator appeared immediately. "He told me you had been separated since November." Ryan and I had spent Thanksgiving in the same cabin with both of our families. I wrote, "We were not separated." 3 dots appeared again. He said the baby was unplanned. I looked toward the framed ultrasound picture on my mother's mantle. Ryan and I had tried for almost a year. He had held me after every negative test. He had cried when the first positive line appeared. I wrote, "The baby was planned." The typing indicator disappeared. A full minute passed, then Madison sent another message. "Can we meet tomorrow?" I did not want to meet her. I wanted her to remain a flat image in my mind. The woman in a green dress, the woman with my husband's ring, the woman who said yes while blue smoke floated above my yard. But anger is easier when the other person stays simple. The truth rarely allows that. We met the next morning at a coffee shop near the hospital. Madison arrived without the ring. She wore no makeup. Her eyes were swollen. I was not interested in comforting her, but I noticed. She sat across from me and placed her phone on the table. I am not asking you to forgive me. I am not here to discuss forgiveness, she nodded. I just need to know what was real. I opened my own phone. I showed her pictures from our anniversary dinner 5 months earlier, Ryan's arm around me, his mouth against my temple, a photograph of the handwritten card he had given me, to my wife, to the mother of our child, to the life we are building together. Madison stared at it. He said that dinner was for appearances. There were no guests. I showed her the email confirmation from our couples therapist. The appointment had been scheduled for the following week. I showed her the nursery receipts, the crib, the rocking chair, the paint samples Ryan had chosen. Then I showed her a message he had sent me 3 days before the party. I know things have been hard, but I love you. After the baby comes, we will find our way back to each other. Madison covered her mouth. I am going to be sick. I almost said good. Instead, I waited. She unlocked her phone. He told me you had been sleeping in separate rooms for almost a year. We slept apart for 9 days because I had the flu. He said you wanted the separation kept private until after the pregnancy. I wanted no separation. He said you knew about me. I had met you twice. Her eyes filled with tears. He told me you asked him not to bring me around because it would be awkward. I remembered her nervousness in my kitchen. The way she had said I was lucky. The way her face changed when I said Ryan was lucky too. What did he tell you about yesterday? I asked. She looked down, that the proposal was your idea. I did not respond. He said you wanted everyone to see that there were no hard feelings. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. The coffee shop noise continued around us. A machine hissed behind the counter. Someone laughed near the window. A child dropped a spoon. The normal world kept moving while mine rearranged itself. Madison opened a message thread. I think you should see this. The messages went back almost 11 months. Ryan had told her our marriage had ended emotionally before the pregnancy. He said I had insisted on trying for a baby because I thought it would fix us. He said he felt trapped. He said I monitored his phone. He said I threatened to keep the baby from him. I had done none of those things. Then I reached the messages about the ring. Madison had asked how he could afford it. Ryan replied, I moved some money around. Claire will not notice until after everything is settled. My hands became cold. What money? I do not know. I opened my banking app. Our joint savings account was lower than it should have been. At first I thought I had read the number incorrectly. Then I checked the transaction history. 3 transfers had been made over 6 weeks. One for $12,000, one for $4,800, one for $3,200. The descriptions were vague: personal transfer, reservation, retail purchase. That account was supposed to cover my unpaid maternity leave, the hospital deductible, and the first months after the baby was born. I looked at Madison. Did he rent an apartment? She went still. He said it was for after the divorce. With our savings? I did not know. I believe you did not know some things. She nodded. That is fair. I took screenshots of the messages with her permission. Then she said something I did not expect. I am returning the ring. That is between you and him. No, it is not. She looked at my stomach. He bought it with money you saved for your child. For the first time since the proposal, I felt something other than shock. Not relief, not satisfaction. Recognition. Ryan had not chosen Madison because she understood him better. He had chosen her because she knew only the version of him he had built for her. He had done the same thing to everyone. To his mother, I was unstable. To his sister, I was private. To his coworkers, I was controlling. To Madison, I was already gone. To me, we were still trying. That afternoon, I met with a family law attorney. Her name was Denise Parker. She had gray hair, sharp glasses, and a voice that made panic feel embarrassing. She did not promise revenge. She did not tell me I would win everything. She asked for facts, account statements, mortgage records, credit reports, tax returns, insurance documents. She told me to separate my salary legally and transparently. She told me not to drain joint accounts. She told me to preserve every message and avoid emotional confrontation. She told me that the most useful thing I could do was become organized. So I did. I downloaded statements. I changed the direct deposit for my paycheck. I placed alerts on my credit. I made copies of insurance records. I created a folder with dates, transfers, screenshots, and receipts. The process was not dramatic, it was exhausting. There was no music playing while I gathered evidence, no satisfying speech, just a pregnant woman at a dining room table, saving PDF files while her mother made soup in the kitchen. Ryan called 17 times that day. I answered once. "Where are you?" he asked. "At Mom's." "You need to come home." "No. We have to talk about the baby. You had months to talk." He lowered his voice. "Madison is confused. Madison is not my responsibility. What did you say to her?" "The truth." He was silent, then he said, "You are trying to ruin my life." I looked at the bank transfer on my laptop. "No, Ryan, I am trying to understand what you did with mine," he started explaining. "The ring was supposed to be temporary. The apartment deposit was refundable. He had planned to replace the money. He had not thought I would need the full maternity fund immediately. Every explanation made the betrayal worse because each one confirmed planning. Finally, I asked, "Why the gender reveal?" He did not answer right away. Then he said, "I thought it would be easier if everyone knew at once." "For whom?" Silence. "For whom, Ryan?" "For everyone." "No, for you." I ended the call. 3 days later, Elaine came to my mother's house. She looked older than she had at the party. "I should have asked you," she said. "Yes." I believed him. "Yes, he said you were fragile. I was pregnant." She looked down. He made those sound like the same thing. That sentence stayed with me. Ryan had not needed everyone to think I was lying. He only needed them to think I was too emotional to be reliable. Elaine told me that Madison had returned the ring. She had placed it in the original box and left it with the receptionist at Ryan's office. She also sent him a single message. "You did not choose me, you used me." Ryan responded by telling people Madison had pressured him into the proposal. Then he told Madison that I had manipulated her. Then he told his mother that the entire situation had been misunderstood, but the stories no longer stayed separate. People compared messages, dates, photographs, promises. For months, Ryan had controlled the truth by keeping everyone in different rooms. The proposal brought us all into the same backyard. That was his mistake, not the affair. Not the ring. The audience. Once everyone heard each other's version, none of his version survived. The months that followed were not easy. There were legal meetings. There were conversations about the house, the accounts, and the baby. There were nights when I woke at 3 in the morning and wondered how a man could sleep beside me while planning a future with someone else. There were days when I felt humiliated all over again. Then there were quieter days, days when I ate breakfast without checking whether he had called, days when I finished work and did not imagine him walking through the door, days when my son kicked and the movement belonged only to us. Ryan attended some prenatal appointments through arrangements made between our attorneys. He wanted photographs that made him look involved. I stopped caring about appearances. I cared about consistency. When our son was born, my mother stood on one side of the hospital bed and Jenna stood on the other. The labor lasted 14 hours. At one point, while the nurse adjusted the monitor, I remembered the gender reveal, the blue smoke, the ring, the sound of people clapping because they did not yet understand what they were celebrating. My son arrived just after sunrise. He was small, loud, and perfect. I held him against my chest and felt something inside me become still, not healed. Healing is slower than people like to admit. But still, Ryan met him later under boundaries that protected the room from becoming another stage. There was no dramatic confrontation. No one threw him out. No one delivered a speech. He looked at our son and cried. I believed the tears were real. That did not make the lies less real. Both things could exist at once. That was one of the hardest lessons. A person can love parts of you and still destroy the life you built with them. A person can feel guilty and still refuse accountability. A person can cry and still be the reason you learned how to stop. Months later, someone sent me a photograph from the gender reveal. It had been taken seconds before Ryan proposed. I was standing beside the cake with one hand on my stomach. Ryan was behind me, reaching into his jacket for the ring. Madison was watching him. Elaine was smiling. No one in the picture knew what the next minute would do to us. I almost deleted it. Instead, I saved it in a folder with my son's birth records, legal documents, and the first photograph of him sleeping on my chest. Not because I wanted to remember the humiliation. Because that afternoon had revealed more than the gender of my baby. It revealed the marriage I thought I had. It revealed the man Ryan had been pretending to be. It revealed how easily people accept a story when only one person is allowed to tell it. Everyone remembered that afternoon as the day the blue smoke rose and another woman said yes. I remembered it as the day I finally stopped saying yes to a life built on someone else's lies.